Hi there, hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, if you or someone in your family has potentially been exposed or have tested positive to the novel COVID-19, as you know, you'll have to be in isolation or in quarantine for at least 14 days. Now, during this time, it's really critical that you keep your immune system strong. However, with less opportunities to access fresh foods, you may have to make do with what you've already got stockpiled at home. So today, whilst the Australian government is taking stronger measures to tackle the spread of COVID-19, more businesses are starting to close and limiting our access to products that we are used to having access to. So here's a question for you. If you were to suddenly be placed in quarantine for 14 days, which, let's face it, can happen to almost any of us at any times, how well have you thought through the nutritional value of the foods that you've filled your freezer and your cupboards with at the moment? And are they likely to help build your immune system? I know for myself, I've actually been filling stuff, but now, after this conversation, I'm definitely going to go and have a look through and have a reevaluation of actually what I do have. So fortunate for us, exactly like I've just said, we've actually got the luxury of time. So we can use this time to ensure that we actually are consuming expert information and advice, like in this chat, like in this article that we've published, that are all going to help us be better prepared. So today we're going to help you be strategic and plan ahead. So we're going to be sharing some valuable information about the foods that you should consider stockpiling up in your freezer and your cupboards that are nutrient rich to help support your immune system, and B, that actually have a longer shelf life, because let's face it, we have no idea how long we're going to be in this scenario for. So today we're really thrilled to be joined by our special guest, Brittany Darling, who specialises in children's health, pregnancy and fertility support. Now, Brittany will be sharing her tips for a healthy diet that supports good health whilst being advised to stay at home, which we all are. Now, Brittany is an accredited nutritionist and herbalist with over 8 years experience. Her approach is to use food as medicine. And she also complements this with evidence-based. Now, what's that word, Brittany, that I couldn't pronounce before?
Nutraceuticals.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to have got that out. And herbal medicines to enhance support and speed up results of her clients. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Rachel.
Oh, it's a real honour, and I'm very, very grateful for your time. But with all of us who really now have limited access to fresh foods, this may lead to a lot of people increasing their consumption of highly processed foods, which tend to be high in fats, sugars and salts. And all of these can really have a negative effect on our immune system and our overall physical health. So in your opinion, I'd love to ask, why is it important that we ensure that we're really limiting our intake of salt, sugar and fat when we're actually trying to build our immune system?
I think the key thing to really avoid when it comes to processed foods and optimizing immune function is sugar. So we know that sugar, when consumed in higher amounts, or when you have a high blood glucose, it stops vitamin C from being able to enter the cell. So if you like, vitamin C and glucose compete for absorption. So we will obviously want to keep our vitamin C levels optimum inside the cell, because that helps the immune system to work properly.
Yeah. Well, canned foods have got a lot of sugar in them, or do they not? I'm not sure.
Well, it depends which canned foods. If we're talking about things like canned fruits, which are in syrup, yes, that's quite high in sugar. But if we're talking about a tin of tomatoes, a tin of legumes, or even tinned fruits that don't have that sugary syrup, they're not particularly high in sugar. So tin foods definitely can be helpful during this period, because obviously they have an extended shelf life, and can actually offer some nutritional benefits as well. For instance, canned lentils are going to be a great source of protein. And I know it's really tricky to get meat at the moment, particularly mince. And most recipes, you can just substitute mince for tinned lentils.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a a really good way, or tinned tomatoes are going to be a really good source of antioxidants and vitamin C. So tinned foods are definitely going to be helpful during this period.
And in talking about, substituting foods for different things, how about frozen vegetables and frozen foods in general, about the nutritional value? What's your opinion on those, and which ones should we be considering and stockpiling at the moment?
So frozen vegetables and fruit are going to be higher typically in vitamin C than what's sitting in the fresh display at Woolworths. Usually frozen vegetables and fruit are frozen straight after picking. So the vitamin C content in particular, and other phytonutrients as well, is going to be much higher. So I'm a big fan of frozen fruits and vegetables. My top picks would be things like frozen mango, berries, broccoli, cauliflower, things like that. Yeah.
Cool. So we've got lots to talk about, and so to start with, we published your article titled "Stockpiling Tips During Quarantine." So for someone who hasn't read the article yet, can you please give us a little bit of an overview of what it's about and just what inspired you to write it?
Yeah, so I mean, just to clear up, I don't want people to stockpile. Please leave stuff for other people. I don't want ScoMo going angry on me for telling people to stockpile. But basically, I wrote it. It's something I've been thinking about a lot for my family in terms of if we have to go into quarantine or choose to go into self-isolation, what are we going to need to get us through, say, 14 days or even a month? Because it is looking like things are going to go on for a lot longer than, originally forecast. I think some of the numbers are around 6 months. So, yeah, what do we need? How can I minimize the amount of times that I go to the grocery store? Because to be honest, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm potentially exposing myself, and it's a really stressful experience. I used to dawdle in the grocery store to hide from my children once upon a time. Whereas now it's like this in, out, don't want to touch anything, don't want to put my pin in. It's very stressful. So the less we go to the grocery store, definitely the better.
Yes. And the article overall provides details on the food items we need to stockpile or to be able to purchase to keep the immune system strong. In the unfortunate situation that we would really have no access to food or limited access to food. Would that be right? That's what the article is about overall. Yeah,
and kind of what key foods to focus on. So your proteins, what are going to be good ones to have on hand, like legumes, tinned, fresh, your fruits and vegetables, as well as fermented dairy products. I go into a lot of detail about fermented dairy products and their benefits for the gut health, but also immune system health, and the fact that they have such a long shelf life.
Yes. Well, we've got 3 key questions to ask. Let's get stuck straight into them. So question number 1, what are some child-friendly, I can't talk this afternoon, I think I need a coffee. What are some child-friendly foods that will not only last long, but actually help support the immune system?
So as I was talking about, fruits and vegetables, and in particular frozen, have an abundance of now I can't speak, it must be contagious, an abundance of immune-boosting nutrients in them, including vitamin C, which is probably the most well-known nutrient. So vitamin C is really important for both innate and adaptive immunity. So vitamin C, as I was explaining before, accumulates in phagocytic or cell-eating or pathogen-killing cells, and it plays a role in the cleanup at the site of infection and potentially reduces tissue damage.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so vitamin C is super important. You don't have to get yourself a fancy vitamin C supplement. It's very easy to meet your RDI or recommended daily intake, and that's basically just getting your 5 serves of fruit and veggies a day.
Yep. Okay, great. And which can be via frozen fruit and veg, like you said as well.
Frozen, tinned, some fresh. I mean, there's things like sweet potatoes, for instance, that you can buy fresh, and they're going to keep a really long time. Even things like red onions, which keep a really long time, are a really good source of vitamin C as well.
Okay, great. Now, next question, 70% of our immune is located in our gut. So what can we do to boost our immunity from colds and flus?
Yeah, so like I was saying, your first line of immune defense is in your gut. So your gut is responsible for both innate, which is your first response of your immune system, and your adaptive immune response. So supporting your gut with things like prebiotics and probiotics can really help to support that gut microbiome, which in turn helps immune health. So one of my favorite ways of supporting gut health is by consuming fermented dairy products like kefir. So kefir, it sounds fancy, but has been used for centuries. So it's basically a way of preserving milk and culturing milk, which has a longer shelf life, but also has all these probiotic benefits which support the immune system. So my kids and I have been taking, there's these little probiotic shots that you can get called Tumify. My kids and I have been taking those every day to help support our gut health, but also support our immune system.
Now, is it the same? What are some other brands if parents can't find Tumify?
Yeah, so you can get kefirs from Woolies and Coles. Most of them have a kefir, but what you really want to make sure is that it doesn't have any sugar in it. Because like we were talking about, sugar almost in a way competes with vitamin C for absorption. So you want to go for the sugar-free varieties, and they are sour. So you might have to mix it through the kids' porridge or things like that. But the key thing about Tumify, it's not like other probiotic shots. It is sweetened with monk fruit. So it doesn't have any sugar in it. Monk fruit is like a sugar-free, it's not a sweetener. It comes from a natural fruit, but it has a sweet taste. So it doesn't give that, it doesn't compete with that vitamin C and potentially reduce immunity. But yeah, there's plenty of other brands. If you can't get kefir, things like yogurts as well is definitely going to help with gut health.
Yeah. Is it similar to like your Colt? Is that the same thing that you mentioned?
Yeah, so your Colt has 11 grams of sugar, I think, per serve, which is a lot for a tiny little, So if you can find Tumify, I think Harris Farm is stocking it, and maybe IGA. It is definitely like 1,000 times better than your Colt. But if you can't find it, something like a milk kefir would be equally, would be similar. Yeah.
And a yogurt, as you mentioned also.
Or a yogurt, but a yogurt does have less probiotic strains. So, yeah. The other thing you can do is make your own yogurt at home. So if you feel like if you're at the last, if your yogurt tub's sort of got a few tablespoons left, you can actually just add milk and leave it at room temperature for a couple of hours, and it will culture, and you can make your own yogurt at home too.
Okay, cool. And besides the fermented foods, what else can we be doing to help support our gut health as well?
So things like prebiotics, which goes back to fruits and vegetables again. A lot of prebiotics are found in fruits and vegetables. So onions, again, one of my favorite foods, rich in vitamin C, also rich in prebiotics. For gut health. Garlic's a really good one as well. It's rich in prebiotics. What else is rich in prebiotics? Basically all your plant foods, legumes, nuts, seeds, chickpeas, making hummus, lentils.
And like you said, all of these things, if you can't get them fresh, definitely you can get them in canned or in a frozen form to ensure that you've always got access to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing I would say about canned is if you can get BPA, and this might not be possible, if you can get BPA free, which might not be possible at the moment, particularly if you have little ones at home, BPA or bisphenol A, sorry, I don't have corona, I've got a tickle, is a endocrine disruptor. So if you do have young children or pregnant ladies, you really want to keep that BPA, no traces of BPA basically in the diet. Tin food, unless it specifies BPA free, the lining of the tin has BPA.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't know. That's my lesson for the day now. I was just thinking before when you mentioned about the 70% of your immune system's in your gut. I know for a fact that our physiologically our mind and our gut are connected. So in your opinion, does stress the stress and anxiety that we're going through, does that affect our immune system?
Absolutely, yeah. So stress does suppress the immune system, but stress also affects gut health. So when we're stressed, we don't chew our food as well. It's a part of the stress response that basically your digestive system really slows down because all the blood goes everywhere else. All the blood, instead of going to the digestive system, goes to the peripheries and the muscles, so you can sort of run away from that saber-toothed tiger. So if you are feeling stressed, a slowing down of digestion or more bloating and things can be a sign, of stress. But yeah, don't forget, stress does suppress the immune system. So doing all your stress management techniques, whether it's meditation, whether it's having a moment to have a cup of tea and finish it while it's hot. Like, I know as a mum, that's probably one of the biggest luxuries of my day, if I can get to the bottom of that teacup while the tea's still hot.
The joys. All the important stuff. So it's about understanding us as individual, what really works for us to be able to take us out of that stressful mindset, and what's going to place you in a more outside of the flight or fight response. So
yeah, in a rest and digest, I like to call it a rest and digest phase.
Yes. And having it as a daily ritual and a daily practice, I think, is something that's really important. I know for a fact, I'm a big Oprah fan, and I've heard her say many times that she makes sure that she has a daily ritual when she makes her cup of tea. That's her mindfulness, when she's actually stirring the tea. And so knowing at what point in the day that you actually will put yourself in that mindset and be mindful. Okay, this is how it feels. I can't even talk today. What's with me? Yes, but understanding, at what point in the day you're going to have that mindfulness exercise. What is it going to ensure that each day that you're going to sort of be in that nice, calm rest and digest. And I love that too, frame of mind. Let's get stuck into question number 3. Why do you prefer to take probiotic foods versus capsules or powders?
So I like food as medicine. And I think your intro for me was about how I love food as medicine. So what I find is people who get their probiotics through food generally do that every day, whereas taking pills and powders and things like that are generally very short-lived. Getting your probiotics through food is always going to be more affordable as well. And it's what you do on a daily basis that, that routine that really counts, rather than taking a capsule in the short term. So we were talking about kefir before, and I think the key thing to talk about with kefir as a source of probiotics is that studies have shown that it's actually able to bypass all the digestive juices which can kill bacteria, to bypass that highly acidic environment of the stomach, and it adheres to the intestinal lining much better compared to probiotic supplements like powders and capsules and things. So kefir is really a unique food. It's been used for centuries, for boosting enhancing shelf life or prolonging shelf life, but also it has all these amazing health benefits which have been really well researched and studied.
Okay, great. And a lot of pharmacies are still open at the moment. Chemists, would they sell this as well? Is it only in supermarkets?
Only supermarkets. It's more of a food thing.
Yeah. So,
but I think a lot of people are having trouble getting any supplements at this point. I think a lot of people have been stockpiling supplements and probiotic powders and vitamin C's and all that kind of stuff. So I think food as medicine at this stage is probably the most simple thing to do.
So if we were to summarise, I guess, all your key points for families at this time, how would you sort of summarise what your key messages are?
So, I mean, obviously focus on nutrition. Make sure that you're getting your, the correct amount of fruits and vegetables every day. Make sure that you're getting enough protein to support your immune system, and focus on fermented foods like kefirs to support your gut health, which is in turn going to support your immune system. And I think the other sort of key things on the side of that would be get enough sleep. Sleep's been shown to really support the immune system and reduce stress. Mm-hmm. So, nutrition, sleep, stress.
And I guess the last thing is to maybe just go through your cupboard and just have a bit of a scan as to how healthy are the foods you have sort of stocked, I guess, your cupboards and your freezer with, and do you maybe need to increase up some foods, being canned and frozen foods, in the instance if you were having to be in complete isolation, unable to get out for whatever reason at all, that you sorry, I've got all of these other things popping up on my screen, that you do actually have foods that are filled with nutritional value. But we're so grateful for your time today. If parents have got any other questions for you, by all means, can you just let us know where we can find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. My handle's at Whole Food Healing. That's probably the best place to find me. I'm not very good with Facebook or Twitter. So just Instagram, yeah.
Insta. All right, perfect. Well, we're so grateful for your time. Hopefully we'll have another opportunity to have a chat. Heaven knows how long we're going to be in isolation for, but thank you so much for this information, and we'll speak to you again really soon. Take care and give my love.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye.